Welcome back to Behind the Beats podcast. Today we're tackling something every DJ faces, stage fright. Guest DJ Stess and I are here to share real struggles and pro tips to crush nerves and own the crowd. No fluff, just straight up game. If this helped you, smash like and subscribe. Let's get into it.
Turntable spinning, interviews hitting. Catch the rhythm of the stories they spitting. Production gems, stacks in the sheets. The engine that hums, yeah, behind the beats. Behind the beats, storylines unfold. Truths untold, now shining like gold. Voices vibing, keeping it elite. It's the podcast, Behind the Beats. Behind the Beats.
Welcome to Behind the Beats.
Hey everyone!
Let's face it, whether you're just starting out or you've played, countless gigs, those pre-show jitters, that knot in your stomach stage fright is something that touches almost every DJ.
Absolutely. It really does. And for this deep dive, we've pulled together advice from seasoned DJs sharing their experiences, on YouTube, plus articles offering some pretty concrete strategies. Our goal really is to dig into what this anxiety actually is for DJs and, maybe more importantly, give you some solid tools to not just deal with it, but maybe even channel that energy.
Exactly. And this is for you, the listener, who wants to get a good handle on this quickly, thoroughly, and hopefully walk away with some real aha moments without feeling totally buried under information.
Yeah, practical stuff.
So let's start right at the beginning then. What exactly are we talking about when we say stage fright for a DJ?
Well, first off, it's vital to understand that experiencing this isn't some kind of personal failing or weakness. As our sources really emphasize, it's a very natural human response. That fight or flight thing kicking in when you're facing what feels like a pressure situation.
Like stepping up in front of everyone.
Exactly. Think about it. You're up there, maybe the spotlight's on you. Even if the crowd seems friendly, it's still a lot.
Yeah, and it's not just beginners. Even DJs who've reached legendary status have talked about feeling those nerves.
Oh, totally.
The host over at Digital DJ Tips shared some really relatable stories, like his hands shaking so much at his first gig, he worried the needle would jump.
Wow, yeah.
Actually feeling physically sick with anxiety before a big night. He even mentioned playing at Privilege in Ibiza, massive club, still brought on that wave of nervousness.
It really shows it's not just about the size of the gig, is it? It's inherent to performing, seems like it. And what's kind of fascinating is how the brain interprets it all. As a DJ, your basic desire is to connect with people through music, right? But sometimes the sheer number of people, the eyes on you, it can be subconsciously perceived as, a threat. That triggers those stress responses, even when you're consciously excited.
And those physical responses are definitely real. They're not just in your head.
No way.
Things like shaky hands making it hard to cue up a track, that awful churning feeling in your stomach, or that dreaded dry mouth when you need to focus. These are all common things people mentioned, especially in those honest bits from Digital DJ Tips.
And beyond just the physical stuff, there's a big psychological piece to DJ stage fright. This often revolves around the fear of messing up, those musical train wrecks or technical glitches we all dread.
Oh, yeah.
And just the vulnerability of feeling like you're being judged by everyone in the room.
Absolutely. And let's not forget imposter syndrome, that little voice nagging you. Are you actually good enough? Do you belong here?
Big one.
Big one. DJ GURL shared a story about a DJ friend who was just in a complete panic before their very first gig. It really highlights that pressure and self-doubt.
It does.
So it's clearly not just a general fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
There are things specific to DJing that seem to crank up the anxiety.
Exactly. While the basic fight or flight is similar across performing arts, DJs face unique pressures. There's the obvious fear of, say, the music cutting out suddenly, for a really clunky mix that just kills the vibe. But also, as the Dale Ashworth article pointed out, for many DJs, especially maybe more introverted types, the anxiety can also come from just being the center of attention, constantly being around new people in that performance setting. That ongoing social pressure can be draining too.
That makes sense. And it's so important to remember, you're not alone in feeling this.
Not at all.
Ariane from Olympia Coaching, Graham Farmer from Data Transmission mentioned her. She shared a pretty striking statistic. Something like 75% of musicians deal with stage fright.
75%, that's huge.
Right. And she mentioned names like Ozzy Osbourne to show it's not just beginners, it hits seasoned pros too. It's just really widespread.
Yeah. That stat really helps normalize it, doesn't it? It's a reminder that feeling nervous doesn't mean you're bad at what you do or you're doing something wrong.
Definitely.
So, okay, we have a better idea of what it is and why it happens. What about managing it? What are some concrete steps? One thing that kept coming up was this idea called the first 10 minutes rule.
Okay, the first 10 minutes. That sounds like a practical way to ease in when you're probably feeling the most nervous, right?
Exactly. The core idea is to put extra focus and
planning into those initial tracks.
So like know exactly what you're playing first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By carefully picking out, maybe even pre-planning your first 2 or 3 tracks, you take away the pressure of making big decisions right when you might feel most anxious or shaky.
It's about creating a smooth, confident start.
Makes sense. And someone also suggested finding like a friendly face in the crowd, focusing on them.
That's a great tip, yeah. It can be surprisingly grounding. It shifts your focus from this big, potentially overwhelming sea of faces to a single positive connection. It reinforces that people are enjoying it. And it's worth remembering, like multiple sources said, the crowd generally wants you to do well.
They want to have a good time.
Exactly. They're there for the music, and you're the one bringing it.
Okay, moving to the practical side. Gear. How can your equipment actually help reduce pressure? What are some gear hacks?
Well, being really, really prepared with your equipment is a huge step. Knowing your setup inside and out just reduces the chance of those unexpected technical hiccups that can totally spike your anxiety.
Nothing worse than fumbling with cables. And having a backup USB drive ready to go. One source called it a security blanket.
That's a perfect description. Just knowing it's there if something goes wrong with your main source can be incredibly calming.
What about for beginners? Sync buttons came up.
Yeah, the LSA article mentioned it. Cautiously. The idea isn't to rely on sync forever, but maybe using it strategically at the very beginning, just to gain confidence with transitions while you're also juggling nerves.
Okay, a temporary aid.
Potentially. And another interesting idea was maybe positioning your laptop screen so it's not constantly right in your face.
Oh, why is that?
It can help stop you from obsessing over visual cues like waveforms and getting too stuck in your head about the technical side instead of feeling the music in the room.
Gotcha. Focus outward.
And fundamentally, as LSA really stressed, just know your equipment like the back of your hand. Backups for everything. Check the venue setup if you can. Familiarity breeds confidence. It reduces those anxiety-inducing surprises.
Okay, so we've got the mental side, the gear. What about practice? This idea of practice like you're already on stage.
Right. This is about making your practice sessions more than just, mixing tunes in your bedroom.
How so?
It means rehearsing full sets, pretending you're live, maybe even practicing talking on the mic if that's part of your plan. Even just a quick mic check 1, 2 in your practice space.
And visualization came up too, right? Imagining the crowd loving it.
Yes. Picturing the positive energy, people dancing, smiling, that can really help prime your brain for a good experience when you actually get there.
What about playing for friends?
Definitely. Doing mock performances for friends or even just recording yourself playing a set helps you get used to that feeling of being on. Plus, it can show you where you might need more work.
So the main idea is the more familiar the act of performing feels,
the less scary it becomes. Exactly, you're making it feel more normal through simulation.
Okay, now leading right up to the gig, those moments just before you go on, pre-show rituals that calm nerves, what helps there?
These are super personal, but really helpful. Establishing little routines to center yourself.
Like breathing exercises.
Oh yeah, a classic for a reason. Techniques like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4.
I've heard of that.
Or even just simple, slow, deep inhales and exhales like DJ M.O. Joey suggested. They really help regulate your nervous system.
What about music? Like listening to music beforehand?
Totally. Listening to hype music, stuff that plumps you up and makes you feel confident, that can be a great way to shift your mental state.
And positive self-talk, affirmations.
Using affirmations like telling yourself, they're here for the vibe, not perfection, or I'm prepared for this. It helps counter those negative, anxious thoughts.
Okay, any physical things?
Yeah, doing small movements, shaking out your arms and legs like Dale Ashworth suggested, helps release adrenaline and physical tension. Gentle stretches too.
Other things mentioned were calming tea, like chamomile.
Yep, DJ GRL recommended that. Or even prayer or meditation, finding that inner quiet spot before the energy hits.
Lots of options there. So, okay, you've done your prep, your ritual. Now you're actually behind the decks. How do you manage the nerves during the set? Focus on connection, not perfection, seems key.
Absolutely. It's about shifting your mindset. Instead of aiming for this impossible, flawless set to impress everyone.
Which adds so much pressure.
Right. Try to focus on creating a connection with the people dancing. Maybe start by looking out at the crowd in like bigger sections, not zeroing in on individual faces right away if that feels too intense.
And finding that positive feedback.
Yeah. It's amazing how just seeing one person smiling or nodding along can
Ground you and remind you why you're there.
And we need to remember, the audience is usually way more forgiving than we are, right?
Oh, completely. They rarely notice the tiny mistakes that feel like the end of the world to us.
DJ Mojo E had good advice there.
Yeah.
If you make a small slip-up, just brush it off, maybe smile, keep the energy going, don't highlight it.
Exactly. Don't make it obvious and move on.
So, to help build confidence early on, what about the music itself? Start with a safe, familiar set.
Yeah, this ties back to that first 10 minutes rule. Opening with tracks you know inside out, ones you feel totally comfortable with, ones you know work. It sets such a positive tone.
Get in the groove quickly.
Right. Focus on making those first few mixes really smooth, relying on muscle memory. It lets you build momentum without overthinking when nerves might still be high.
So maybe save the brand new experimental stuff for later in the set, or for gigs where you feel more settled.
Generally, yeah. Especially in your first few gigs. Stick to your strengths initially, build that confidence, then branch out. A strong start really helps your mindset for the whole set.
Okay, but what if it feels like more than just typical nerves? We need to talk about when to seek help beyond normal nerves.
Crucial point. It's important to recognize when anxiety might be escalating beyond what's manageable with these techniques.
Like, what are the signs?
If you're regularly experiencing things like a really racing heart that won't slow down, tunnel vision, serious trouble breathing, symptoms that feel more like a panic attack.
It sounds serious.
It is. And if it's consistently that intense, it might be time to seek more support than just self-help strategies.
Like therapy or coaching.
Exactly. Therapy or performance psychology coaching can give you specialized tools. They can help you understand the deeper roots of the fear and develop personalized coping strategies.
What about medication, like beta blockers?
They were mentioned sometimes, but really as a potential last resort and only after a thorough discussion with a doctor. It's not a casual thing.
Right. And importantly, don't rely on alcohol. Yeah. The Dale Ashworth article warned against that, especially for frequent gigs.
Definitely. Using alcohol as a crutch can create a whole host of other problems down the line. Not a sustainable solution.
Okay, so bringing it all together, there's a final mindset shift that seems really helpful. Nobody cares as much as you think.
Huh. Yeah, it sounds blunt, but it's powerful.
It's easy to feel like every single person is watching your every move, judging every transition.
But the reality, most people in the crowd are just there to have fun, dance, hang out with friends. They're wrapped up in their own experience. They're not critically analyzing you nearly as much as you think.
We're usually our own worst critics, aren't we?
Absolutely. We magnify our own perceived flaws. It's important to give yourself some grace, allow for imperfections. It's live music.
And ultimately, if you're up there enjoying yourself, feeling the music, that energy is infectious.
Totally. The audience picks up on that positive vibe way more than they pick up on a slightly offbeat mix.
The Digital DJ Tips host shared that great line from his friend Dan Buick. It's not about you, pedal.
Love that. It just puts it in perspective. Everyone else has their own stuff going on.
Yeah, and the LSA article had that perfect little mantra, remember, it's just a disco.
It brings it back down to earth, doesn't it? It's about fun, music, connection.
So to quickly recap this whole deep dive, understand stage fright is normal, that fight or flight thing. Prepare like crazy music, gear, mindset.
Practice like you're actually performing. Develop those pre-show calming rituals that work for you.
Focus on connecting with the crowd, not on being perfect. Start your set with tracks you know and love to build confidence.
Know the signs for when you might need professional help. And always remember, nobody cares as much as you think, and the crowd generally wants you to succeed.
Yeah. So take some time. Think about which of these strategies might actually help you on your DJ journey. Everyone's different.
Finding what resonates and building that toolkit is key. Ultimately, it's about managing the nerves so you can get back to the reason you started DJing, the love of sharing music.
Well said. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Be sure to subscribe to Behind the Beats podcast on YouTube for more in-depth discussions about the world of DJing.
Turntable spinning, interviews hitting. Catch the rhythm of the stories they spitting. Production gems, stacks in the sheets. The engine that hums, yeah, behind the beats. Behind the beats, storylines unfold. Truths untold, now shining like gold. Voices vibing, keeping it elite. It's the podcast, behind the beats.